My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. All right, this is the city of Ontario that's engaging in what is stalking in the path, and the stalking is recognized through the environment and through the activity that's created by the people of the state that are in the environment. The environment includes, this is the fake sun. I'm at G Street and Fern in between Vine. They're monitoring while I'm inside a 7-Eleven that's flashing light. That's the city of Ontario gang stalking. It's the Ontario International Airport, it's the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Police Department, the city of Ontario, the municipality. Those are demons gang stalking with the method of light activity in the path. And the path is maintained with the fake sun over me during the day. And bigger picture is that, first of all, this is Woodside Senior Apartments, and this is not over Tracy Banks' apartment where I'm documenting the fake sun rise. And it's also not in alignment with my living room window in Los Angeles, where the entity is maintaining a sunrise at this time of year when I'm living in Los Angeles, where LAPD is gang stalking as well. The city of Los Angeles is gang stalking, and stalking is recognized in the unnatural environment. The entity is maintaining a method of light activity. You're recognizing stalking. Also, the bigger picture is that the fake sun is maintaining idle presence over this block. So yesterday at 507 North Euclid Avenue, and this is 408 West Street. This is 636 North Vine Avenue. This is a block less than a quarter, not even a quarter of a mile, where the Starbucks is, and the entity keeps the fake sun over the opposite end of this same street. Euclid Avenue is right here, where I'm going to walk, where Starbucks is located, and the entity kept the fake sun, as I documented in images, after 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and this is where the entity is stalking with the fake sun, and that's also how you're recognizing that a group is stalking, and that they're engaging in activity, opening and closing the doors activity, ricocheting light when they open and close their door. That's impossible light activity. Just like when they drive under it and light shooting inside a Starbucks, impossible light activity. Stalking with the method of flashing light, demonic light activity creation in that environment where the fake sun is remaining. Not only do I document the fake sunset here at Woodside when I'm remaining here, I'm documenting again at 507 North Euclid Avenue, which is less than a quarter mile. It's around the block, and I'm documenting the fake sun. I'm capturing it at 3:58 p.m. over the same Starbucks. I'm capturing it at 11:54 a.m. over the same Starbucks. That's 5 hours from now. That the entity is maintaining the fake sun at 7:26 p.m. through the drive-through window of that same Starbucks. This is how you're recognizing stalking, in addition to the stalking behavior, literally, of the police that are following me in helicopters all throughout the city in that remarkable environment that defies nature, obviously, okay? It obviously defies nature, and it is speaking to the exclusivity of the light source, the sun, which is not going to remain over all of us everywhere that we are at in the state, in the country, inside of one building, as I'm documenting. It's speaking to identifying targeting, and in addition to that, the people of the state are targeting in that environment as well, obviously engaging in what is that targeting system, and it's gang stalking, and it's also demonic. The entity is engaging in this while keeping the fake sun in alignment, while I then walk to Starbucks, where I'm documenting that fake sun remaining over that venue all day long. And the entity is engaging in this, and this is that P.O.C. It's currently 6:26 a.m. The entity keeping the fake sun, I'm documenting at this very venue right here at Woodside at 6:26 in the afternoon. And this is already published on the venue of the internet to prosecute the state, to prosecute the Ontario Police Department engaging in kidnapping at this very venue where the fake sun rises and sets, where Tracy Banks is gang stalking while I'm remaining inside of her apartment. This is the apartment complex, and that's impossible light, just as an example. It's not sunlight. It's the entity is maintaining this environment where the people of the state are pacing under that environment. They're stalking all around me. So all they're doing is pacing all around me while the entity keeps a fake sun, an identifying factor. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:27 a.m. All right, this is called crossing path. And as they move under a fake sun and engineered light, it's called activity creation. It's monitoring, and it's stalking. Ongoing collective act of stalking wherever I go, where the entity keeps a fake sun as an identifying factor. Also, as I down the street, so does the fake sun. That's Woodside down there. I'm past it, and the fake sun is nowhere near that building. The fake sun moves as I move, and the people of the state are following as I move. It's not traffic. As that fake sun is remaining around me, the people of the state are perpetually maintaining presence around activity creation, gang stalking, and that fact is also proven through their behavioral pattern of stalking with light and stalking with activity, shared with the government, that's engaged in what is maintaining amplified methods of noise and stalking in planes and helicopters and trains, and the demon stalking with impossible light. It's an entirely demonic cartoon environment. It's entirely insane while the entity is engaging in gang stalking, and it's very obvious. It's not muted. It's not subtle at all. And also I want to show you the entity has the fake sun. This is the same street. This is G Street. And then that's Euclid Avenue up here. Euclid Avenue is where I'm documenting the fake sun. Omnitrans license 1609887, stalking with light activity. using a corrupt business as a means of monitoring, which is the state of California, and that's Alan D. Wapner's engagement in that criminal pattern of conduct. It's the same with the gang stalking by commercial airline planes. The entities engaging in this fake sun, which is over this plaza right here, while I'm walking toward it, because it's not when I'm at Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments. It's remaining over her apartment, over that building, units 49 through 64, okay? And second of all, as I advance, that's where the fake sun, that's how I have it over my sunroof, over my head in Las Vegas, where the sun is never going to be in Las Vegas, where it's remaining for 12 hours over Starbucks, like I documented, from 6 until after 5. I'm capturing images, total documentation, okay? While pacing, pay attention to the light that's swiping around on the ground. Omnitrans is gang stalking, okay? Omnitrans is obviously gang stalking when I'm on those buses and the entity's keeping the fake sun over Starbucks. When I'm on Omnitrans in the morning, the same route, the same exact route going in the same direction, the fake sun remains over me, and Omnitrans is driven by demons who are gang stalking me. And the bus is a facilitating venue. And the entities engaging with is also stalking with light, which is also how you know that they're driven by demons who are gang stalking. And it's a facilitating venue while the sun remains in the window of those moving vehicles, where as I'm staying in the building of Starbucks, I'm staying in the building of Tracy Banks' apartment, and the sun does not move. That's why I captured the sunrise and the sunset. But getting on the same bus route, regardless of direction, the entity keeps the fake sun visible through the windows of that bus. And I've documented Omnitrans, which is a gang stalker. All right. And they're gang stalking right now. They're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18. The entity's keeping this fake sun over this plaza at G Street and Euclid. And I've documented coming from Los Angeles. And the entity has the fake sun over me at this intersection while I'm in my vehicle, and driving what is north on Euclid Avenue, and then turning onto G Street, coming in this direction where the sun in the natural environment would never be, daylight savings time or not. This is also evidence of being targeted. This is evidence of what is demon possession, a gang stalking community, where you're just engaging in what is idle stalking in a parking lot with a means of public transportation with regard to maintaining activity creation. This is what the entity is doing, and it is, again, currently 6:32 a.m. where the entity is gang stalking at 6:32 a.m. The sun is not going to be over this same plaza at this same location where people are intentionally present for purposes of gang stalking, which is clearly and plain and obviously underway. The entity is doing so in an environment where the fake sun is also here. That's an African-American male gang stalking. Again, license 1609887. Omnitrans is a gang stalker, engaged in domestic terrorism and psychological torture in concert with the state. But the entity is maintaining this fake sun as I documented, and I'll go ahead and give you that video so you can see the supernatural as the sun being over Starbucks at 7 in the morning and being over Starbucks at 3 in the afternoon, at 4 in the afternoon, at 5 and 6 in the afternoon. That's 12 hours from now, where this fake sun is still on the same street, Euclid Avenue, over 507 North Euclid Avenue. This demon is monitoring his tall shadows and means of light activity. That's how the people of the state are monitoring you in this environment. It's not the sun, and neither is any of this sunlight. Also, when they drive by, it's not sunlight that's shooting into Starbucks. They're demons, and this is how gang stalking is executed by a population that is in the shoes of the government. The entity is maintaining this fake sun is what I'm going to juxtapose this video with to show you how the city of Ontario is gang stalking, evident through the supernatural that I captured on video, to show you when I'm driving from a different city into Ontario in the afternoon, at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, the fake sun is over the same intersection over me as I approach this same intersection, like it is remaining in alignment to me right now as I'm approaching this same intersection, where the entity keeps the fake sun over a building that is not even a quarter a mile. It's around this block at Starbucks where the entity is keeping that fake sun. It is currently 6:34 a.m. This is the P.O.C. of recognizing stalking with a fake sun. And this is shared by those of you in the rest of the country because it's not the natural environment. And neither are these normal people. This is gang stalking, and it's done by the demon possessed. All right, this is P.O.C. This is impossible light reflecting off of a building. And remember, when they drive by and I'm inside of buildings, impossible light shoots inside. And that's the pattern of conduct as well. This is engineered light that creates multiple shadows. All right, and you see multiple shadows at nightfall as well, even when I'm not walking by reflective objects. It's engineered light, it's not sunlight. And this is the understanding monitoring and demonic activity. It is centered on engineered light, where presence and activity is created pursuant to stalking the demon possessed that are monitoring you. It is currently 6:35 a.m. All right, this is P.O.C. This is the back parking lot where Starbucks is located, and I'm showing you the evidence of following with the fake sun, keeping in alignment with me, with my face as I've documented. The entity keeps the fake sun rising during the day, keeping it over the top of my head and setting on the opposite side of my person, and that is underscored when I remain inside of one building, and you see the fake sun remaining over one building. The entity keeping the fake sun through the entrance doors and then visible through the drive-through window of the same address at 507 North Euclid Avenue, rising over the east side of units 49 through 64 at Woodside Senior Apartments and setting over the west side of the same apartment building, units 49 through 64 at Woodside Senior Apartments, rising through my living room window at Alvarado Gardens and setting in alignment to me through my bedroom window of my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street in Los Angeles, California 90026, all of where the government is engaged in the hallmark of stalking by helicopters, which is state action. And right here I've documented the entity gang stalking. It is currently 6:40 a.m. as I'm walking through a parking lot. The entity is keeping the fake sun perfectly aligned. If I walk at a different elevation, that fake sun will be lowered at an elevation to keep in alignment. And if I'm walking, for example, over buildings, the entity will rise that elevation of that fake sun in order to keep alignment with my face. And this is also the same parking lot where I'm documenting. In the evening, the fake sun is on this side of my person at the same location where I've documented the pattern of conduct remaining in the side of the same Starbucks as well. So this is again another vivid illustration of you witnessing what is stalking with the fake sun, which is with the government stalking. The fake sun documentation is relevant to proving the government stalking in that supernatural environment. And the government is also proven to be stalking because the government is stalking me very heavily from city to city and county to county via helicopter as well. And this is the totality of that evidence to prove the entity, the state of California. The U.S. government is engaged in criminal monitoring. It is demonic. And the documentation of a fake sun is the proof of the government stalking an individual in concert with the people of the state who share in that demonic and terrorizing pattern of conduct, which is also sexually violent. It is unconstitutional and inhumane. And I will juxtapose this video with my presence right here. The entity is using the buildings on these lights as a method of light activity. The entity is pacing with demons behind me. Particularly, there's a truck that drives by, and engineer light moves across that truck. And I'm narrating the pattern of conduct, and the entity has the fake sun right here behind me where I am in the morning. Under the natural environment, daylight savings time or not, it was never reconciling. What is the maintenance of a sun remaining here? It is the evidence of what I've been documenting. The city of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state are demons, and they're gang stalking. They're engaged in what is domestic terrorism, and it's psychological torture, and it's pursuant to what is criminal surveillance, which is also on communication devices. And they are violent sex offenders engaged in ongoing hovering, obsessive and perverted monitoring of my genitalia in any private space where I'm located, where I'm under surveillance by the government. This is P.O.C. It's currently 6:42 a.m. It is currently Monday, June 16, 2025. As surely as you hear these videos, and I'm documenting the entity stalking with a fake sun, I am documenting the state of California stalking me from place to place. And it is evident while the sun remains over Starbucks, where the people of the state engage in surveillance at this venue with the government, that also engaged in stalking by helicopter to punctuate their stalking conduct and on whose behalf the people of the state are stalking. They engage in stalking and terrorism by stalking with light, as you've seen them do. They do so while they're stalking under the clear indicator of a fake sun showing the government who the government is targeting, and it's not any of them. While they go to and from work, the fake sun remains over me at this Starbucks. While they come and order, purchase, and leave, the fake sun remains over me at this Starbucks. And it's the same with the government that's gang stalking in planes and helicopters. While they fly around, the fake sun remains over me, speaking to the center of the engineered environment where they are gang stalking together. It's 6:43 a.m. License 8ROU124 DK099 handicap, and license LVMYERS 6HOJ821 7THX757 GPA2EP, that's Arizona, 6TJN892. This is the people of the state. They are all jointly engaged in stalking together, and this is psychopathic behavior. The criminal pattern of conduct is going to be used to both diagnose and to prosecute. 9SZB143. This is the population that's driving by the Starbucks, and Impossible Light shoots inside of the cafe. They're in the drive-thru right now. They're engaged in psychological torture and targeting me specifically with knowledge while I'm inside of the cafe, and Impossible Light is planted on the walls, flying all inside of the building. They engage in gang stalking at Starbucks by making a purchase, which is stalking in the path. 9PMA249. This is a demon-possessed population and a corrupt one. 5R34722. P.O.C. License plate 7L15807. You'll see the fake sun in the same position over the Starbucks that it is after 5 p.m., where the people of the state are in a relevant position through the drive-through at the same address where they're engaged in criminal surveillance with the people of the state working at the venue. And this is all government conduct. Starbucks is a third party, an agent of the state engaging in criminal surveillance, facilitating it, enabling it, participating in it. 8SYE923, profiting from it. 86423L3. And the fake sun documentation over this same Starbucks, like I captured in images, and like I've captured in video. 7:26 p.m. After 5 p.m. I captured yesterday over the same building. It's over the same building right now, while they're all lined up in relevant position, and the entity is stalking with light activity by the city of Ontario. These demons are stalking. License plate 7R17641, 9CCF786, 8HBY482, 9PCP256. 6JDS428, and the city of Ontario stalking in the path 57664U3. This is a demon driving in traffic with their turn signal on while they're driving straight. They're just maintaining light activity. And as I advance toward the Euclid Avenue entrance, the fake sun is now positioned across the street, where it will 6 hours later be over the top of my head as I document in images. License plate, the people of the state driving through impossible light, 9APY925. License, my shadow appearing a distance away from me in the middle of the street. That's impossible light activity. License 6WSS175, gang stalking with the city of Ontario, a demon myth using a method of flashing light. Facilitating gang stalking by the people, 5CNH016, RGA3AL. That looks like an out-of-state plate. Perhaps it's Arizona. It's a red colored plate. I can't see the state from here. It is licensed, at 6:46 p.m. And they're all documented under the fake sentence remaining in LA. So LA's engagement in the pattern of conduct is convicting the people of the state. 8NCX872, 9335-1L1, 9FDA662. And the city of Ontario, gang stalking, emptying out the garbages, cleaning off the bus stops, whatever this demon is doing, 8CO7375. Latino males, the entity is engaging in what is stalking in the path with the method of flashing light. Okay, and the entity, this is the population that's stalking all day long. Psychological torture, 12 hours inside of Starbucks while they stalk with light. License 9RYY952, 74355W3. And they do so while they maintain joint knowledge about what it is that I'm doing on the internet. So as they're particularly perturbed about me publishing the kidnapping, the impossible light activity becomes more spectacular, okay, which is more terrorizing and more harassing. P.O.C. Excuse me. It is 6:47 a.m. on Monday, June 16, 2025. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, it is currently 8:03 a.m. Documenting in images, what you'll see is the placement of the fake sun, which is again 0.8 miles away. So it's essentially a 7-minute walk from where I'm capturing the fake sun. And this is where the fake sun remains at the Starbucks, where the people of the state are pacing in and out with terrorizing light. They're stalking and admittedly stalking. The light activity that I captured on video, and there's a history of stalking by opening and closing doors, absolutely asinine, but the demon possessed are not intelligent. They're merely creepy demons that are stalking you and capturing this satanic environment where they are admittedly doing so, and they are inevitably to be prosecuted for domestic terrorism in California. They are entering and exiting the venue, and impossible light flashes across the floor, and then they stand at the menu while they're targeting you. Okay, this is terrorism and psychological torture that Starbucks shares in. The demon that you see in images wearing the black shirt and the baggy denim skirt is gang stalking in the same manner that is Jay Powers, the African-American male from Woodside Senior Apartments, and aware of what was documented with regard to the very short walk from Woodside where the entity was rising and setting the sun, where he's gang stalking by residents. And I'm documenting Woodside in comparison to Starbucks, where the sun is a block away remaining for the duration of the day. Even as you compare Woodside, where the sunrise and the sunset is, you will never have the sunrise and the sunset over one block, which is what I'm documenting as well with regard to the exclusivity of the sun and the entity keeping that exclusivity centered around me and where I'm at, which is the proof of stalking by the government. The entity is gang stalking while J Powers, that's the license plate, JPOWERS, a resident at Woodside, that's gang stalking the entire venue. And he's entering in with the same method. This is how you're tying the strangers that are indeed stalking together, one person in an environment where the fake sun's remaining over me in this venue. And that's what I'm capturing. The license plate JPOWERS. Also the license plate capturing this demon gang stalking, and this is what they're doing, one demon after another after another. The demons are doing this when they're driving on Euclid Avenue, and that's millions of people engaging in what is 12 hours of psychological torture, like I documented, when the entity is molesting and harassing with impossible light, and doing so with regard to also knowledge about what I'm publishing about them stalking me. All right, the entity is engaging in this, and the terrorism is commensurate with what it is that I expose about their gang stalking. This demon license. All right, it is, first of all, baggy jean shorts. It's looks like a skirt. With regard to the gang stalker at 8:03 a.m., stalking in the path, impossible light all over the floor, and while entering the venue, flashing engineer light, which is a terrorizing threat that the demon-possessed are posing in a passive-aggressive manner, demonstrating mental illness while they stalk with light. The third-party license plate, including 48723K3, replicating the same exact pattern of conduct, supernatural to occur one time, occurring with regard to every demon that's entering and exiting the venue, while this entity is gang stalking me together, which is also proven through the maintenance of a fake sun over the venue, and showing what is Tracy Banks engaging in that pattern of conduct under the 1 p.m. fake sun yesterday, and under the 7:45 a.m. fake sun today. And it's also not over her apartment, where I'm documenting the fake sun as she walks in and out of her apartment, molesting me with impossible light, while the fake sun is outside of her front door, which is not going to be visible from Starbucks at Euclid in between G Street and E Street. She is at Starbucks targeting and proving what she's doing at her apartment, where she committed kidnapping with this entity, the Ontario Police Department, that is gang stalking me day and night, which is why they committed an unlawful eviction in order for them to stalk me day and night in helicopters and engage in kidnapping. Okay? The entity is replicating this same pattern of conduct while Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, is sharing in the criminal targeting by the state, by the City of Ontario, license plate 22564U3. This is, again, the entity coming in purchasing drinks. This is Starbucks, the corrupt company, gang stalking and profiting from domestic terrorism and psychological torture, intentionally underway by its employees as well. License 1592078. This is the City of Ontario entering into the venue, stalking in the path parked across the street in the middle of the Meridian in the grass area. They walk in, terrorizing, stalking with impossible light, monitoring me in concert with the rest of the people of the state. The entity is doing so. These overweight, just like Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, gang stalking demons that are in the medical profession, gang stalking inside of Starbucks, wearing black scrubs, and entering in with this engineer light swiping on the inside of the floor, while engineer light is stationary on the floor as well. So this is layered levels of light, and the entity is under the fake sun pacing all around. Also, you know about the aerial surveillance, and the entity has the engineer light swiping while they open and close the door. Understand that the entity with the impossible light activity, they're demonstrating, first of all, it's an unlawful threat. You're going to prosecute for that. You're going to analyze the stalker like you would under any other circumstances of a pattern of conduct by a stalker. In addition to that, the entity is engaging in what is absolutely asinine. Sunlight is not going to appear on the inside of the building, stretched out, creating the shape of that which the light is touching, also reflecting on the outside of the buildings. Remember, they're driving in the shape of these same windows on Euclid Avenue, as I showed you images and video of my shadow where this engineer light is outside of the building as well. They're walking in then with regard to the engineer light that's swiping while the door opens and closes. These are demons, and they're stalking, and they're obviously stalking. And the Ontario Police Department demons, Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook are going to federal prison for gang stalking and engaging in kidnapping like the City of Ontario is doing in concert with the people of the state, which Tracy Banks represents, coming in and even engaging in the pattern of conduct here at this venue, which is what she was doing while I remained subject to this pattern of conduct while she's threatening my life, and I'm living in her apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments. And that threat to my life culminated in kidnapping by this entity that she engaged in with this entity that is still gang stalking to date. It is currently 8:10 a.m. License plate, engaging in the same thing, entering at 8:10 a.m., stalking with impossible light, and monitoring with Starbucks personnel. They're stalking with audible activity, stalking in the path. License 7SJR647. This is P.O.C. And Starbucks' corrupt business practices are built into the P.O.C. Starbucks is going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted, and so are its employees. They're going to be prosecuted for gang stalking. It is currently 8:11 a.m. at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is P.O.C. Remember, the entity has the fake sun here, as I'm documenting it at 247, where C. Torres is gang stalking that engaged in kidnapping me. And Tracy Banks is here under the 7:45 a.m. fake sun, the same address. The impossible occurrence of a sun, the intentional engagement of what is targeting me in order to communicate a threat and also demonstrate impunity and malice, while I'm still subject to the same targeting system as they commit kidnapping under the fake sun, where you will compare which is the supernatural environment where the people of the state are stalking as a community, as a group at Starbucks, okay? You're mindful of all the evidence that you've already witnessed. The entity's keeping the fake sun at 6:18 p.m. over this same entrance of Starbucks where it's present right now at 8:11, where the people of the state are stalking. And that's the maintenance of this environment that is supernatural for that gang stalking purpose. They're all engaged in federal stalking. That's a federal case as well with regard to surveillance. And a federal law currently states that the punishment, the conviction for federal stalking, which is what this is based on, in other words, it's basically, to paraphrase, it's commensurate with the threat. So based on what the entity is engaging in, the entity engaging in federal stalking via communication devices, what federal stalking is underway while the entity engages in the elements of monitoring, that is the impossible light activity, directly affects your operation of internet, your communication devices and whatnot. It is for the purposes of engaging in surveillance with a government that's acting in furtherance of murder and kidnapping. Federal stalking cases under these facts is relevant for federal prison. So I just want to document that. The entity is, under all circumstances, engaging in what is criminal surveillance at a level with the government that is requiring federal prison as a matter of justice. And I just want to point that out as well. It is not merely gang stalking me with the police, which is that's automatic federal prison. Sharing in the elements with the police, gang stalking at the same, engaging in kidnapping, you're going to federal prison for that. The entity engaging in federal stalking based on the way that federal law exists right now. Now, there are areas where I am proposing and advocating in added language based on exposing the government that's engaged in criminal monitoring, which is federal stalking, and its surveillance, and the entity that's gang stalking and the elements of monitoring are relevant to that federal stalking. But the current language is that the punishment is based on the level of conduct that's underway, and the government's engaged in criminal surveillance with the population and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, and doing it with regard to what is criminal surveillance in every area of one's life, and doing it through everyone and at all locations at all times, and that is requiring what is justice is definitely requiring federal prison. So I just wanted to point those notes out. The people of the state are gang stalking via Starbucks personnel, and so this is the entity engaging in this creepy conduct, and you need to recognize that your Starbucks that you love so much, it is prepared by the demon-possessed. They are engaging in preparing it in demonic light activity. They're engaged in terrorizing an American citizen as they prepare them, as you purchase them, as you support Starbucks, as you are engaging in what is endorsing Starbucks. Starbucks is engaged in domestic terrorism, sexual violence, and Starbucks is unapologetic. Starbucks is highly malicious. Starbucks is very corrupt and an enemy of American citizens who enforce their rights, which is what I represent. And the treatment of Starbucks and those that are patrons of Starbucks is also demonstrative of that. The ongoing harassment and terrorism, psychological torture underway at Starbucks is demonstrative of that. It is currently 8:14 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, you will see the images demonstrating criminal surveillance, which is sexually violent monitoring by Starbucks and Starbucks employees, including Brian. And there is a gang stalker that's engaging in surveillance inside of the bathroom. You can see the engineer light flat on the floor on the inside of the cafe where the people of the state are pacing. That's not walking and minding your business and being innocent. The engineer light shows the evidence of what is nothing but pacing because it's impossible to naturally occur. And it is there for a criminal purpose. And it's also all around the bathroom. As I walk toward the bathroom, engineer light flashes all across the doors of the bathroom, which is a threat to my life, and it's also a sexually violent threat, letting you know that your genitalia is under surveillance. Everything that you're doing is publicly known amongst the entity that's obsessively stalking you, including in the bathroom. A demon opens the door when I'm in the bathroom indisposed, and that's for purposes of pacing in alignment to me. They want to enter in and monitor. And the demon Brian is seated in position outside of the bathroom door. Another demon is in the male's restroom, in surveillance, engaged in surveillance relevant positioning, and the fake sun that you'll see at 9:42 a.m. And it's all centered on the toilet, the bathroom, where my vagina is exposed in that restroom. And this is the entity that is gang stalking. And 9:42 a.m., that's a far away with regard to duration of time, where I'm capturing the video at 3:15 p.m. yesterday afternoon, which is how you know that Brian is a sex offender, and his focus on sitting at the chair is not waiting for the restroom. It's called relevant positioning, where surveillance is underway, and while another demon is in the bathroom and he walks out and Brian walks in, that is pacing in engineer light, where the sex offenders who are on Euclid Avenue that you've already seen gang stalking via impossible light into the Starbucks and also all across the sidewalk and on the outside of the building, then you're aware of what is the massive sex offense that the demon possessed are committing when they're gang stalking you in places like bathrooms. This is the sexual violence of the Ontario Police Department, also why it's being disbanded. This is sexual violence against a woman. This is inexplicable and entirely illegitimate interests of the government. The police department engaging in surveillance in bathrooms, engaging in what is stalking you, engaging in what is using police resources to do it, doing it in concert with a population that is centering their stalking and their surveillance and monitoring around you in the bathroom, around my vagina. Okay, and they're sitting around staring at communication devices, monitoring and invading privacy together. And they are the psychopaths that fling light around and are sitting under a sun that doesn't move for 12 hours over the building. All right, and this is what LAPD is doing at the same time in an environment, however, that is irreconcilable, because the natural environment will never provide LAPD being under the sun that I'm documenting on this day in 2024, where the entity is gang stalking me. And I'm reminding you about this kidnapping that was committed by this same sex offender, the city of Ontario, on June 16, 2022, where on this day in 2025, they're all still monitoring and they're all still obsessed with my vagina, gang stalking me in the bathroom in Ontario at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where there is no sun that would be outside of my living room window, that would be over my head at Alvarado Gardens, where LAPD is proven to be stalking in that environment that is supernatural. It is impossible to happen or occur or be documented like I captured it naturally. And I didn't make it up. I documented it, and I have a body of evidence years long that is consistent to that end. The Ontario Police gang stalking at 9:47 a.m. driving what is driving north on Euclid Avenue as I'm being surrounded with impossible light while the people of the state are pacing around me, while the fake sun is remaining stationary, and the Ontario Police are not maintaining the same sort of experience that I am with the fake sun remaining idle over me. The Ontario Police are gang stalking, and they're engaged in real-time surveillance regarding every syllable that I utter, including as I document them, and that's why they were gang stalking in 4 videos as I walked out of this venue where they're gang stalking me right now, and the Ontario Police is monitoring my vagina, which is why they are being disbanded. In addition to their heavily documented gang stalking and terrorism that they like to use helicopters to commit. It is currently 9:47 a.m. This is documentation of bathroom monitoring, and this is again compliments of Brian. This is a gang stalker that's monitoring and is obsessed with my vagina, and so are all of the other males and females engaging in what is a satanic and also perverted stalking conduct together while they're monitoring. All right, it is currently 9:48 a.m. This is P.O.C. at 507 North Euclid Avenue under the fake sun. P.O.C. All right, this is aerial surveillance, and this is gang stalking under the fake sun that's still over the same Starbucks. If you look at the picture I took this morning, walking from this vantage point where the drive-through had the people of the state filling it, the fake sun was in the same position over the building. You're dealing with breaking down the illusions of the demon-possessed who are gang stalking in an entirely ridiculous environment, and it is obvious. And it's also obvious when the Ontario International Airport is hovering in the sky space, creating audible activity, the sound of planes as though they're taking off far from Terminal 2, Terminal 4, hovering directly above and flying while the fake sun remains over me supernaturally. Remember, 6 this morning, the fake sun is here, so it's currently 1:14. So that's as though it takes 6 hours to get across the street to be over the same position it was this morning as I was approaching this morning and documenting the people of the state gang stalking via the drive-thru. That's the City of Ontario gang stalking. That's a demon. That's what the City of Ontario was doing with the dumpster truck outside of 7-Eleven while the fake sun was in alignment to me at 636 North Vine Avenue. That's a demon, and this is gang stalking. It's light activity, and that's a federal offense. And this is what the City of Ontario is gang stalking with. That is towing and recovery. I-10 towing and recovery gang stalking. They're engaged in federal stalking under Title 18 right now. License 9RHE642, license 6W14106, and you'll see how the fake sun remains over me as I leave from the building, the entrance of Starbucks. That's gang stalking, license 79902K3, and that's a third party. The City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking right there. P.O.C. 1644200, that's federal prison. The Ontario Police Department is gang stalking, and they're gang stalking with the demons flying in planes, doing donuts in the sky. Those are demons. And this is the entity that's gang stalking by helicopter at night while the entity keeps the fake moon over me, creating, facilitating activity. That's a federal offense, and it's federal prison to be gang stalking with the police department. I'm going to document him because this is a federal case against the state of California. This is P.O.C. The Ontario police are monitoring with all of them. 8KSG 711 creating light activity. And this is the criminal misuse of a business, just like Starbucks, who was gang stalking. And the sun is not remaining like it did yesterday after 5 p.m. over the entrance at the Ontario International Airport crossing path, the demons of the Ontario Police Department crossing path, and they're engaging in what is a kidnapping on May 29th. Nathan Morgan is going to federal prison. C. Torres is going to federal prison. L. Martinez is going to federal prison. And so is B. Hook of the Ontario Police Department. That's a terrorist organization engaged in criminal surveillance, stalking me day and night, using the resources of a police department that's corrupt, and they're engaged in criminal surveillance with the people of the state. This is called light activity, and they're monitoring my vagina in the bathroom, surrounding that private space with light activity just like this, under a fake sun that remains as I remain and moves as I move. That's why it's not staying over like it was at 2:47 p.m. where C. Torres, the kidnapper, on May 29th is inside of that venue gang stalking me. This is P.O.C. It is currently 1:16 p.m. and on this day, the Ontario police engaged in kidnapping Corey Watson, gang stalking under the fake sun inside of this venue at 9:16 a.m. And the entity is keeping the fake sun when he engaged in kidnapping on June 16, 2022 at 10:29 a.m. It is 1:16 p.m. There's no sign that's over the entry of the Ovid Family Community Library at 11 o'clock, like you can clearly see on my website, when the demon-possessed Ontario Police Department are shown to be engaged in criminal surveillance and the exercise of fictitious authority when they committed kidnapping upon false allegations with the demon-possessed people of the state who are gang stalking with them. Corey Watson's going to federal prison. The Ontario Police Department is being disbanded, and this is the documentation proving that the state is stalking under that fake sun that remains over me, speaking to the exclusion of this demon versus me, who they're targeting. Not looking at you is speaking to a psychopath, not an innocent person. It's P.O.C. It is currently 1:17 p.m. The Ontario Police is being disbanded. It's surely as you see this fake sun remain over me and not over this third-party gang stalking demon. P.O.C. The entire entity is gang stalking, and the Ontario Police is being disbanded for it. This is a supernatural phenomenon, and on this day, I'm inside of my apartment in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, on the 3rd floor, where I'm documenting the fake sun all day through my living room and bedroom window. This is not coexisting anything with the natural environment. These demons are going to federal prison for kidnapping and engaging in state surveillance, just like the LAPD is, and they're going to federal prison for engaging in the gang stalking system in a remarkable environment that is a plain and obvious means of documenting and witnessing it in the investigation of the United States government that's engaged in criminal surveillance in California. Ontario PD committed multiple kidnappings, and they're going to prison for it. And they're gang stalking in this video, which is evidence of impunity and malice. That's why I have 4 videos of them stalking by helicopter, repeatedly flying over me the moment that I exit that venue, Starbucks, where the entity kept this fake sun over that roof all day long. Not today, because I'm moving. And this is, the entity is going to keep the sun wherever it is that I move, and that's how you know who the Ontario police are stalking. And it's me, P.O.C. All right, license plate 9P
DY331, gang stalk with Ontario Police at D Street and Euclid at 1:18 p.m. The fake sun is over me, not remaining idle over the Starbucks where I captured it after 5 p.m. today. And those demons of Starbucks surrounded the ceiling and all the walls by the drive-through area, filled with engineer light, not sunlight, while that fake sun remains over that Starbucks. And as I capture video right now that you just listened to, the fake sun is in the same position it is this morning while I'm walking to the venue during the 6 a.m. hour. And the people of the state are gang stalking via the drive-thru, and the inside of the Starbucks is filled with engineer light, which is not sunlight, neither would that be the sun. And it's also not the sun when I deviate from what it is that I do on a previous day, and a stalker is forced to follow you, and then you're able to expose them as the stalkers that they are, and very highly unpersuasive and unintelligent ones. The demons of the Ontario Police cross path in that video. You could not have any more of a sillier bunch of crooked demons that are going to be disbanded for their inability to control their impulses with regard to monitoring my vagina and stalking me everywhere day and night. They literally did it on video again, and they did it in 4 videos last night in a helicopter. Okay, not only are they corrupt, but they're also showing to be very highly imprudent, unwise, foolish, with regard to understanding that evidence is going to be played back, and it's an obvious, immediate conviction because there's no controversy here. And with regard to stalking me, they engaged in kidnapping. License 1671274, vehicle 1076 at 1:20 p.m. under the fake sun at C Street and Euclid, where the Ontario Police is gang stalking by helicopter on June 6, 2025, as I'm walking at the same exact intersection at 6:10 p.m. on video. That demon's gang stalking with knowledge, communicating a threat while they're engaging in surveillance, listening to me, and the stalker chooses to communicate a threat by being seen, bearing weapons, bearing that logo, engaging in gang stalking, harassment, terrorism by helicopter, and multiple kidnappings, crossing path while they're monitoring. That officer, that license plate, that's federal prison. I literally read them off and document them, and that's federal prison. The entire department is gang stalking, and they're also being disbanded because they're gang stalking with the demons who are the people of the state, as they share in sexual violence, they share in stalking, they share in invasion of privacy, they share in harassment and psychological torture, engaging in demonic activity together as a whole city. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, as surely as these demons keep gang stalking while I'm documenting in real time by a podcast and on videos that I put right on the internet. I put it immediately on the internet, and they're engaged in federal stalking trying to stop me from putting it on the internet. License KT240V, Florida. Gang stalking with Ontario Police, 7F68193. License ATXP599, gang stalking with the police. 9EZD092, Wells Fargo is gang stalking with the police. 8VMF925. They're gang stalking with the police, that's why the fake sun is over me. And the Ontario Police are stalking in the path on Euclid Avenue. What are the demon possessors doing when they're driving by and I'm in Starbucks? Engineer light is flying all inside. Ontario Police are demons as well, and they're gang stalking with the people of the state. That's why they're being disbanded. They engaged in kidnapping while they're engaged in criminal surveillance at that. That's why they're being disbanded. They're engaged in the perpetual sex offense, a whole entity, not just one creeper, not just one sex offender, but the government and all of the community is engaged in monitoring my vagina, invading my privacy together. That's why the Ontario Police is being disbanded. All right, the entity engages in what is escalating aggression and hostility by stalking in things such as helicopters, especially as I document, and they do it in real time, such as repeatedly driving by, which is crossing path under the fake sun pursuant to criminal monitoring, surveillance. That's why they're being disbanded. License 8DMH264. I will remind you about the video on June 6, 2025, where the entity has the fake sun over me as I walk out of this library, where on this day in 2022, the demons committed kidnapping under the 10:29 a.m. fake sun, and they're gang stalking on helicopter less than 2 weeks ago, same time of year, in other words, where it's also remaining over me in Los Angeles, and it's over me at 6:10 p.m. where they're stalking as a police department using helicopters. That's terrorism by a corrupt police. Monitoring with the police, license plate 8GQW914, 5BGX048, 9DTR383. The entity is keeping the fake sun over me while LAPD is gang stalking me in Los Angeles. License 5BHU306. The City of Ontario is gang stalking, and the City of Ontario gang stalking, you understand that they're not just corrupt because they just choose to do bad things. They're demon possessed. So it's even creepier than that. They're criminals on top of being Satan-filled psychopaths. All right, and they are highly unstable, and their stalking me is evidence of it. The entities engaging in this P.O.C. and the obsession of the people of the state is demonstrating the mental instability of the gang stalkers, the co-defendants who are the Ontario Police Department. It is currently 1:23 p.m. I'm going to capture the fake sun over the top of my head where it was at 10:29 a.m. At 11 o'clock, where the Ontario police are gang stalking by using exercising fictitious authority upon criminal summoning by the Ovid Family Community Library, where people like Daisy, she's going to federal prison because she was engaged in gang stalking as the Ontario Police Department are gang stalking and the Ontario International Airport are gang stalking. They're summoning the gang stalking police department while they're gang stalking with them. That's why, by the way, the fake sun remains over me at the Ovid Family Community Library from the hours from 7 until after 6 p.m. in the evening, which is a supernatural phenomenon, while the people of the state are molesting with impossible light. It's the same exact pattern of conduct, and Daisy's going to federal prison, amongst others, for engaging in kidnapping at this very library on June 16, 2022, pursuant to criminal defamation of false allegations. 9DTR 383, Pacing Demon. 8CXU 937, Pacing Demon. License 8YEZ 992, I believe. Pacing Demon 9RSR 664. They're all pacing. And you know that they're pacing as opposed to just walking and minding their business because the entity keeps the fake sun. So all you're doing is maintaining activity, just going all around me all day long, and they're demon possessed. So all they're doing is pacing all around me. That's the mental illness exposed of the Ontario Police Department. No mentally ill person, no criminal, no corrupt psychopath has any business in law enforcement. That's also why the Ontario Police being exposed is resulting in what is removal from law enforcement, disbanding, and federal prison for every kidnapper. It is currently 1:25 p.m. That very damning evidence is going on the internet, and it is pursuant to what is ongoing impunity while these demons of the Ontario Police engaged in gang stalking and criminal summoning to commit kidnapping, and they're still gang stalking on an ongoing basis. So there's no question about what they were doing on May 29, 2025, which is what my documentation has been showing for years. Monitoring, criminally surveilling me, targeting me, and then committing kidnapping. And they're gang stalking, monitoring, targeting right now while I document them. They're going to prison. It is currently 1:25 p.m. at 215 E.C. Street, the Ovid Family Community Library, P.O.C. All right, it is currently, this is a documentation of bathroom monitoring, the sex offense committed by the City of Ontario, the Ontario Police Department, the people of the state engaging in surveillance, and that includes in bathrooms, and that's what they are committing now, and the evidence of it is the fake sun that leaves from remaining over the Starbucks like it did yesterday when I did not leave that restaurant or that cafe, and it in the middle of the afternoon remains over my head as I proceed to walk south on Euclid Avenue to the library, where I currently remain at 215 E.C. Street, and I'm capturing that fake sun. And I also took screenshots where you will see the fake sun at the same time, 1:26 p.m. and 1:29 p.m. as I remained at the cafe capturing the fake sun at 1:29 p.m. and I'm at the library today capturing and arriving at approximately 1:26 p.m. and the fake sun is maintaining a mutual zenith over the top of both roofs of the building, right directly above me. In that venue and that environment is where the entity is engaging in what it's monitoring and surveillance, and that includes in bathrooms. And this is documentation, evidence exposing the sexual violence inherent to criminal monitoring by the government, and specifically the Ontario Police Department, who is engaged in what is not only kidnapping, but they're violent sex offenders, and they are engaged in sexual violence in concert with the people. Sexual violence is a part of the public corruption. So I'm going to capture the 4:32 p.m. fake sun. I'm capturing the entity maintaining the specific environment when I'm remaining in LA today, documenting the fake sun while I'm at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6. The entity committing a kidnapping today in 2022 at the Ovid Family Community Library at 10:29 a.m. I'm capturing video in the presence of the documented kidnappers of the Ontario Police, and the fake sun is over the same roof that it is right now at 215 E.C. Street at 4:32 p.m. They were engaged in gang stalking and then committed a kidnapping, just like the Ontario Police demons gang stalking and committing kidnapping on May 29, 2025, even kidnapping, as I'm documenting it today, from one venue to another. And this is documenting the sexual violence. The entity engaging in what is stalking in the bathroom, and it is occurring in the form of having a third party in the bathroom in order to cross path as you walk in. They are gang stalking in concert with the demons that are in the male restroom, who are maintaining relevant positioning. They're doing the same thing as they anticipate you to walk out of the bathroom for purposes of crossing path. And it's very psychopathic. This is all that they're doing inside of the cafe amongst engineer light. So you're understanding how that pattern of conduct of just maintaining presence in your path and doing so while you're going into a private space, engaging in private activity, including concerning my vagina, and the entity stalking with audible activity as I'm engaged in that private space concerning my vagina, and audible activity is used to monitor that private part of my body. License 9GMJ479, doing a pace around the C turned circle under the fake sun. It's 4:34 p.m. This is the entity engaging in what is the sex offense. This is the Ontario Police Department stalking me in the bathroom. That's how this evidence is. The police are gang stalking with the people of the state. The City of Ontario is gang stalking, keeping me under surveillance in the bathroom. The City of Ontario is a sex offender. 8FAF053, the Ontario Police Department pacing around through the demons who are the people. Another demon pacing around. This is the Ontario Police. These are psychopaths, license 9981D2. 99981D2. This is the Ontario Police Department pacing under the fake sun that's over the Ovid Family Community Library, like it was in the morning on June 16, 2022. It's a fake sun. They're pacing 9AEG943. The entity has the fake sun, as you also are aware, on June 6, 2025, where this fake sun at 6:10 p.m. is where the Ontario Police, who are monitoring my vagina, a police department engaging in what is illegitimate and sexually violent and predatory and perverted surveillance in bathrooms through sex offenders that are stalking me on their behalf in the bathroom. That's gang stalking, license 8XXE922. And I'm going to show you the fake sun right now. 4:35 p.m. bathroom monitoring is evidence against Nathan Morgan, C. Torres, L. Martinez, and B. Hook, who are gang stalking kidnappers of the Ontario Police. You're never forgetting that. They're going to federal prison. And so is Corey Watson and the kidnappers that engaged in kidnapping on this day in 2022 as well. So you're remembering this day in 2022 where I was subject to another kidnapping via criminal defamation, and these gang stalkers who stalk in the bathroom, monitor my vagina, engage in surrounding conduct in adjacent rooms and out as I walk in and out of doorways to engage in gang stalking in the environment. The entity is also engaging in what is an anniversary of this kidnapping at this venue as well. And doing so in literally the documentation of the fake sun being here right now is proof that Corey Watson is a demon and he's gang stalking when he commits kidnapping on June 16, 2022. The police department is corrupt, and that's why they're gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport as I leave the Starbucks and an idle fake sun is over in the same position that it was at 6 o'clock in the morning. This is, again, the asininity and catching what are not only demons, but you're understanding that demons are violent sex offenders. Their predatory conduct, their obsession, and their levels of perversion are disgusting, and it's maniacal conduct with regard to the level of stalking. But remember, the entity is obsessively consumed with trying to steal from me. And this obsession with stalking and monitoring every movement that I make, everything even down to my vagina in the bathroom, is relevant to what is monitoring every aspect of my life in an attempt to engage in what is defaming my character, while, again, gang stalking is supposed to create some appearance of mental illness, and it's not working. I'm showing the demon-possessed gang stalkers are mentally ill, very mentally ill, and they will be diagnosed and prosecuted. But this is the motivation, this is the purpose behind gang stalking, because the entity seeks to criminally defame in order to kidnap and steal property from me. This is how you have a fraudulently procured conservatorship like Tracy Banks and a fraudulently procured marriage like Jason Isaac Fields. 6ZNX314 and DD58N99 paper plates. And these are the demons that are engaging in psychopathic pacing while they're monitoring me, monitoring my genitalia, stalking me on behalf of demons that commit fraud and defamation while they're stalking me obsessively as a state program. That is Tracy Banks's criminal engagement and what is procuring a fraudulently maintained conservatorship over someone like myself who knows the law at that. College educated, professional, independent. I've never been under any circumstances asking her about anything in my life. So this is something that she was secretly maintaining, no consent, no knowledge, and doing so with the state, by the way. That's gang stalking me, including on the job. So this is how you manufacture, stating that somebody's supposedly gravely disabled. License 5W-DW762. But again, Tracy Banks isn't using the legal terminology because she is a high school graduate. She's totally ignorant. You can see in the video, you can hear in the podcast on May 29, 2025, she's just throwing out lies, and she's doing it in my presence. I was raped. I take medication. I'm mentally ill. I'm on the couch. What does any of that have to do with actual mental illness? First of all, I'm documenting the fact that that's gang stalking right there. Second of all, I'm on the couch following resigning from my job with the LAPD in proof, tangible evidence that's all over the internet, stalking me on a daily basis, and at night where I live and work at Alvarado Gardens, which the entity leaves out when they are in courts in California, criminally procuring and misrepresenting the mind state, the mental health of those whom they seek to establish as having a conservatorship over them. This is a criminal system in California, and I'm going to prosecute the state of California for that. It does not establish mental illness, and that's also advocating the policies that exist, especially under the Welfare and Institutions Code, where I just got through dealing with that. And speaking of what the law establishes and how these so-called gang stalking, they're not mental, they're gang stalkers, and they happen to be have an education in the medical profession, but they clearly are not genuinely interested in practicing medicine, because all they did was the same thing that Tracy did, call names. But give me facts and circumstances about what's suggesting, demonstrating mental health. What is it in my behavior? What is in my conduct? What is it that has happened that you can point to that's speaking to, oh, I'm engaging in something that's violent, aggressive, where I'm posing a danger to myself and other people, especially while you're unlawfully detaining me in that facility. By the way, while they're gang stalking me, and I'm maintaining my composure, I'm calmly documenting them. And I'm also telling them, based on the law, that they don't have any evidence and they never had any probable cause to detain in the first place, especially pursuant to the gang stalking tactics of Tracy Banks, somebody that's engaged in a criminally and a fraudulently procured conservatorship that she kept a secret from me, has not admitted it, has not forked over property that she has stolen from me, and she's going to prison for it. And so is the Ontario Police Department. This is relevant to motivation for gang stalking me, stealing via criminal defamation, stealing via criminal monitoring. All right, criminal monitoring does not create mental illness. Criminal monitoring is psychological torture. And there shall be a distinction which I will make readily clear and obvious in addition to that. But moreover, this is relevant to the monitoring my vagina in the bathroom right now, which the Ontario Police Department is doing through the people of the state, who are psychopaths pacing all around me under a fake sun at 4:40 p.m. This is P.O.C. Remember how the entity is maintaining the fake sun over the Starbucks yesterday? And as I walk into the venue of the Open Family Community Library at 215 E.C. Street in Ontario, California at approximately 1:29 p.m., the entity is captured gang stalking under a fake sun while the fake sun is in its zenith at the top of my head, while I'm standing at the center of the staircase, and the window above that staircase, you can see the fake sun directly above me, while yesterday at the same time it's remaining over the roof, of, like I documented in images, clear images of the fake sun over 507 North Euclid Avenue. That is Starbucks. And then remember that it's remaining over me in Los Angeles at my apartment home where I live and work. This is where the entity is engaged in bathroom monitoring, surveillance in bathrooms, stalking in bathrooms, unheard of, perverted and psychotic and obsessive means of surveilling someone, which is illegitimate government conduct, while psychopaths pace around in an environment that you're supposed to be ignorant about. That's called malice. It's currently at 4:41 p.m. This is the sexual violence of the City of Ontario. Open Family Community Library is the City of Ontario. P.O.C. (8FRH 662) gang stalking at the ARCO with the Ontario International Airport. And so is 8XKU 150. And so is Chevron 7X64313. Door closures, they're monitoring. 7HWX 195. P.O.C. Here's the Ontario International Airport gang stalking by hovering over Euclid Avenue. They're flying in engineer light. The entity is maintaining the specific environment the people of the state are pacing in engineer light, and the entity is maintaining plane activity as I'm walking up the street. So documenting the people of the state that are targeting with the City of Ontario. That's a big indicator. The government stalking is where the people of the state are stalking. In the specific environment, that's where the entity is stalking the people of the state and the government. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:04 p.m. The people of the state gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport includes the following: an engineer light, license 9SMR702, Ontario International Airport stalking by flying west over Euclid Avenue at F Street, Efferson Frank, flying at a low elevation so that you can hear the plane, you can see the large plane, far from taking off from an airport, and also it's clearly gang stalking in the specific environment. And it's also gang stalking when you've already established a pattern of conduct that is not going to reasonably pause all of a sudden. The City of Ontario is still gang stalking, and that includes the police department. License 8HJB241. It's 9:05 p.m. 94942X2. LVB 493. 5ZWD 951, light activity as I read that plate, 5MQC 538, 9PVB 162, maintaining light activity in the parking lot, 7EPC 712, 8Y68784, 6NGW 189, 9GWK 151, 7DGRO 15, 8YXA 460, 9FAY 188, 6FNL 283. Buenos noches. It is 9:06 p.m. My shadows are perpendicular to each other. Essentially, my shadows are dancing. They move all about. That's not the product of normal light activity. And demons sit around in the dark with their lights on. And it's the guise of what is engineer light. They're demons. And they're stalking. It's 9:07 p.m. Stalking with the state, 8 CEN 154. The Ontario International Airport doing donuts in the sky, so flying toward the plaza where I showed you the fake sun at 6:29 a.m., 6:23 a.m., flying in this direction toward the plaza where I'm at, toward the Pizza Hut at 715 North Euclid Avenue, and then flying in the opposite direction, so that's pacing, and it's targeting by where I'm at. It's also targeting because there's no terminal where you're flying in this direction and hovering, and then flying back toward, or then deciding to go toward the entity's stalking in planes. And 9NBP453 is stalking as well. 9MRL494, 75341B2, 8WTK159, stalking with the state. Audible activity, light activity, crossing path, 9SCL124, engaged in federal stalking under Title 18. License 9KMH119. And this is why the Ontario Police is being disbanded, because they're gang stalking you, they're targeting you with a whole population. Everyone all at one time is targeting me. You're being disbanded for that. License 9ERR871, 4XMC670, 9FFG396, 47735C4, 6DTJ761, 81210N2, 89084L3. The Ontario Police should be investigating the Ontario International Airport, but instead the Ontario Police is gang stalking with the Ontario International Airport. License 8JLK637. That's why you get rid of police departments that are problematic. They're a threat to the public. They are a threat to the safety. License, including while they're gang stalking together, 19698S3, including while they gang stalk together. The police represent a threat to the public. These demons are gang stalking, sitting in all their vehicles. They're psychopaths. These are the demon possessed. They're sitting along the curbs in their cars, maintaining light along the path as I walk. And then there's the engineer light that just swims like a river on the sidewalk and on the walls. But these are demons that are stalking in the night, lurking in the dark with light. (9AWZ635), a stalker engaged in domestic terrorism. It is currently 9:11 p.m. Yeah, I have two shadows. One's on the sidewalk and my other one is extended across the street. And both of them are on my left side. That's impossible light activity, 6XZA126. P.O.C. License 65864F4. License 97723K1. Woodside Senior Apartments. All 144 units are gang stalking. License AGSPTR. License 7CEU067. And it is Woodside Senior Apartments located at 302 West G Street and 408 West G Street, 8LUS726. License plate FH696. That's a handicap plate. It's 9:13 p.m.
That's the Ontario Police Department flying over, and the helicopter activity starting right here where I'm at. So not flying from a distance off and flying over me. The audio activity of the helicopter activity and the crossing path conduct, the Ontario Police Department are maintaining surveillance remaining where I'm at, and they sound helicopter activity at the moment that I engage in what is movement, and waking up and moving, and then helicopter activity begins. That's called stalk with activity, and the entity is doing so on, this is G Street, where the people of the state are maintaining surveillance, gang stalking, and it is currently 11:10 p.m. This is P.O.C. Ontario Police pacing, crossing path, flying west over me and flying east, crossing path, and once crossing path with me right here, then disappearing as I start recording, disappearing out of a line of vision, still stalking in a helicopter. And the entity starting right here where I'm at in helicopter activity. It is currently, by the way, 11:13 p.m. This is pacing by the Ontario Police. That is stalking at 11:13 p.m.